wanted to run for the Waterloo City Council, and that's how I got my
Back
start.
in the day.
Yes, back in I guess it was actually 2000, and actually, yeah, I think it was 2000. And I said to Joe Collier, well, no, I'm not interested, but then I talked to a few family members and Mr. Porter and friends and those kind of people, and they encouraged me, so I took on that challenge. And never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I'd be a politician.
Yeah.
I like to refer to myself as a public servant anyway.
Yes,
so I
that's
don't call
right.
myself a politician.
Okay.
But then when this seat, House District 22, opened up, I ran for that along with about 3 other people, and then I won that seat, and here I am 10 years later.
Right.
I'm running for a sixth term because
right.
these are 2-year terms in the Iowa House of Representatives.
And I have to ask you if you can give us, from where you are, some kind of then and now. Are we at a standstill? Are we making progress? And there's so much, it seems like, this election coming up seems to have brought out the worst in people. Yeah. And we have become an uncivilized nation.
Exactly.
And we just, the things that, we're not living in isolation anymore. Those days are far gone. What is happening here is not only are we showing the real side of too many of us to other nations, but more important than that, our children are watching us.
That's right. That's
right.
They
are watching us.
Absolutely.
And they are seeing that we don't quite act like we should.
That is so true.
Is that not true?
It's absolutely true, and you're right. And I even remember when you say, when I look back then when I first came into politics to where we are today, I like to even go back further. When I was a little girl, and you were, that was your heyday, and politicians were statesmen back in those days. And,
very much so.
And regardless of what your party was, and you think of the Kennedys, and I don't know, I think of Shirley Chisholm, who ran for president, and Barbara Jordan. Just, I mean, the dignity and the respect in holding a position of an elected official.
And the disregard for the person who sits in the seat of power.
Oh, absolutely.
The most powerful nation on earth.
Right.
And we would degrade that position. I mean,
disrespect
it wouldn't matter.
Right.
It wouldn't matter if you hated him or her or whatever.
Right.
But where is our sense of dignity?
Civility.
Our sense of respect.
Absolutely.
Around the world with this one.
Right.
People are looking and saying, America isn't all she claims to be, is she?
It is. It's exactly true. And Lou, I had the good fortune to travel abroad. I've been to Nigeria. I was in Turkey. Just came back from Taiwan. And, interestingly, when I was in Taiwan and just talking to some of the school kids there, high school kids, there was a time when, boy, we want to go to America and be educated.
Right.
Not anymore. They want to stay right home in their own country and get their education. Absolutely. And then once they get the education, maybe come over here and get a good job and come back home, that kind of thing. So it is different, and that's, I think that's probably the most hurtful of the political climate these days, is the fact that, where is our civility anymore?
Right.
I mean, so
it's horrible. You don't even want to watch television or listen to radio or anything like that.
The negativity and the ads that you see, the negativity
and unlimited money. Don't forget that.
That's the biggest problem here in Iowa. Money. You see all this outside money coming into the campaigns of Bruce Braley, even in Senator Danielson's race. I mean, Iowa legislators are faced with a lot of money coming in. I mean, it's like, what is this all about? And so my question to Iowans and the American people, so are we going to be bought by, and when you look at this thing from the national perspective, you are seeing outside money from other countries coming into the presidential race. So this is serious stuff. And I say to people, fine, you hear a little bite. You know what? You have to understand that this thing is bigger, deeper than a 30-second ad that
That's
you
right.
might see on
That's
TV.
right.
You have to really look deeply in this thing and who's behind some of these ads that you see.
Absolutely.
You want, it's time for everybody to be educated and educate themselves and get out their computers because you're on them anyway.
That's right.
Google some of the names that's behind all these
And
ads.
try and find out what they stand
And
for.
you have to find
That's
out
right.
what they stand for. And I think one thing, and I'm a Democrat, that Republicans do so well. They have a tendency, they can get you all riled up emotionally. They get these emotional issues that get people all fearful and, you know, get people to be out of emotion rather than using common sense sometimes. And we have to really stop and say, wait a second.
Yeah,
Is this right?
Let me review this.
Review this. And I'm thinking of, you know, our Supreme Court justices just a few years ago, a couple years ago when we had, I think it was 2 or 3 Supreme Court justices and Chief Justice Marsha Turnus was one of them, voted completely out by a campaign against,
Yes.
you know,
Is that
justices.
scary? Is that scary
That's
enough for
scary
you?
because they are not politicians. Those people are here to uphold the
That's right.
Constitution and the law.
That's right.
But when things are framed in such a way that it makes us all fearful and
Couldn't
just
believe it
act.
could happen.
Yeah, we've got to be smart voters. In this age of technology, we cannot just believe the first thing we see on TV. I mean, that's just, you can't do that. You have to do a little bit more
You have to do a little
digging to
that's
find
right.
the truth and all this stuff.
Absolutely. Well, Deborah, we do know that your whole thing since you've been there from day one was to be a servant. You remember when Jimmy used to say that if someone would ask him about himself, and he would say, "I'm a servant
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
the community." He truly was.
Yes, he was indeed.
And I know you believe in that as well.
Yeah.
And speaking about what you believe in, let's talk about what you mean when you say a level playing field. Let's just take these one by one.
Okay, well, I think, Lou, what that means to me is that regardless of who you are, if you know, we're Americans, we believe in the American dream. We believe if we work hard, if we go to school, we get
Make it
that
happen.
education, if we, you know, are not lawbreakers and follow the rules, that we should be able to get good jobs. We should be able to apply and be able to get jobs. The problem is, if the jobs are not here, or I'm being treated, or anyone for that matter, being treated differently because of who I might be, but yet I'm qualified, that's not fair, you know. So I'm really about truth, justice, and fairness.
All right.
And in fact, if you look in my literature, it's kind of throughout some of the things I believe in. A fair shot for all. And again, and even those who have broken the law with felonies, you know,
They still
they have a right to vote. I mean, if they've done what they needed to do, why would you want to suppress people or oppress people, prevent people from exercising that right to vote even? So I kind of believe that if you are, again, a law-abiding citizen, doing everything right, you know, trying to provide for your children, your family, you should have a shot at an
Same
opportunity,
thing anybody else.
regardless if you are a millionaire or, you know, whatever your position might be.
Okay.
You deserve a fair shot.
There is, this is personal for me, and it might be because Tina is in the Army, my daughter Tina. She's a lieutenant colonel and very concerned about veterans, and so am I.
Oh,
Because
yes.
I truly believe, Deborah, in my heart, nobody, no veteran who has been on foreign land or wherever they've been that fought for the rest of us to stay home and be safe, those people should come back and not have to worry about one single thing.
Absolutely.
Not 3 out of 5, not 4 out of 5. No, they should
No.
not be denied anything, Deborah. What more can you give?
Absolutely.
When you've given your life and
For your
parents are
country.
seeing their children returned in coffins and all that kind of stuff, sometimes you can't even identify them, can't even have caskets open. What does it all mean? These families, you know, when they go off to war, they leave the families, they're
Right.
just as involved as anybody else. And I know you have a thing for that.
I have indeed. Veterans are so important to me, and we should honor our veterans and make sure that there's services available to them. Every service. And one of the things that I can say, and I'm a member of the Veterans Affairs Committee in the Iowa Legislature, and I'm very proud to be on that House committee, is that we do, that is one committee I can say that we are, it's a bipartisan committee of getting the job done, and I wish
everybody's on the same page.
Everybody's on the same page, and I think Republicans, Democrats alike believe and understand that we have got to provide services and make sure that our veterans have programs and opportunities, and not only for them, but for their spouses too.
That's right, for their families,
absolutely. And families. And so we've given housing allowances. I think the last thing we've done that I recall is even personalized license plates. I mean, we do things from education, from programs for education. If, say, the spouse is, if the soldier is stationed, say, I don't know, Fort Bragg, and the spouse is here, there's programs and support for the spouse that's here. So we do make a point to provide support for our veterans.
And we should.
Absolutely should. But here's the other side of it. The other side is when veterans are coming back and they're not, and this is more on the national level, but the state of Iowa, we have made that a priority. But they are still coming back with PSS, post-traumatic stress syndrome, and other illnesses due to war. And there are a lot of veterans that might become homeless and without jobs or without any support.
In a country this great.
And so efforts are being made to really target those individuals, because here's what's happening. The veterans are there, and I wish my sister Tina was here to really talk about this, because she sees it firsthand.
She does.
They're coming back home, and they're in a environment where it's like a brotherhood. It's just a very close-knit situation, and everybody understands what their roles are. But then when they come back home, it's sometimes hard to infiltrate even back into their own families.
Exactly.
So there's crisis centers that have to be strengthened. There's a lot that we have to do to really protect our veterans, and making sure that if there are those kind of problems, that there's a place for them. Now, the Adult Crisis Center right here in Black Hawk County, and I know former Fire Chief Frank Maximum has, in fact, we were all there for an open house, not necessarily open house, but a tour of that facility out on Dunkerton Road, where if there's a crisis with any adult, there's a place where they can go and kind of get some stability, and then get out to where and get the services they need. So it's just going to take every organization that has an interest, the mental health, everything, to help us with our veterans. And so yes, we are on the same page with veterans in the state of Iowa, and I'm proud to say that.
And I'm proud of KBBG from the standpoint is that whenever there's a clarion call, or whenever something the community needs to know something, where you find where are the resources, and how do you access those, and that kind of thing. You have to have a voice.
Absolutely.
Or you may miss the boat and never even know that you could have got on it.
Right.
But if you get the information and can think about it and make your decision, how much better for families, for veterans, for their wives, for their children. Because some of them have come back and you don't see the scars. We respond when you can see the blood, you can see the scars on people, but those same scars are covered.
Right.
And sometimes they are neglected or just ignored. Well, I don't see anything wrong. You hear people say that.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with him. Oh my God, maybe he needs to be in the hospital right then, or she.
Right, exactly.
And let's not leave out the she's, because we've had enough women, veterans that have left their families and left their homes and never made it back.
And it's a traumatic experience.
It's a traumatic for a community even.
Oh my goodness, and as I said, just being abroad and you're in a totally different environment, totally different culture, constantly on edge, and it could be traumatic, and so we must support our veterans. So I'm proud that we do that here in the state of Iowa.
Well, I'm next on the list, and I'm glad that this is one of yours. It is respecting our seniors. We talked a little bit about that. But we would have some people, Representative Debra, I wonder how some of these people at the national level, and Senate level, and congressional, how do you sleep at night when your own mother needs these services
Right.
that people are always trying to do something about, they get too much or whatever? If anything, we need an additional shot. Instead of talking about what's going to be, we need to be working, we know what it is. And people sit there and just vote, and you don't, this is happening at the state level.
It is.
At the county level, wherever there are funds. This is happening nationally. And I'm saying, well, my God, this reminds me of the nut during the campaign when everybody was, what was the name of that campaign in Washington, D.C.? Watergate.
Okay.
And I remember Colson, who turned out to be a preacher, who said he'd walk over his mother's grave. And I said, I'll never forget that.
Oh,
That
my
goes to
goodness.
show you that there is that kind of corruption in our system, and we need to work on that.
We really do.
Justice?
And Lou, when you talk about our seniors and Medicaid and Medicare, you know, and you've heard that some folks would refer to them as, you know,
The
thinking that-
47%,
yeah, thinking
yeah.
they're entitled, and I know
Yes.
Romney talks.
And they want something for free.
You
Well,
know,
I'm going to
and
tell
I,
Romney he's
yeah.
wrong.
Well, and I look at that totally different too, because, you know, I know my mom and dad worked hard to provide for 8 children,
I'm
as you
telling
worked
you.
hard for your family. And they've never asked for a single handout.
That's what I'm saying.
And they've paved the way for all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
And so they deserve to get the benefits
That's
that,
right.
you know, that they paid into the system for.
Absolutely.
They deserve that. And to say that, you know, we should cut the funding to
Yeah.
help, I don't get that.
I don't either.
If this country, if your own home country doesn't take care of you, I mean, who's supposed to?
That's right.
And that's the thing that's
Maybe
most
that's one of
troubling
the good
about it
things
for me.
we should take from foreign countries, the fact
Yeah.
that, yes,
Yeah, they
you
do.
do pay into
Right.
it, but you expect to be taken care of as you
Absolutely,
get
you
older.
pay
So,
into it, you bet.
yeah,
You bet.
it's not a freebie at all.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about this.
Okay.
Every
Okay.
Iowan Economic Empowerment Act,
Mhm.
or the Empowerment Act, however
Okay.
you want to
All
refer
right.
to it. It has to do with students, that I know.
Well, this is real exciting, Lou, because this is something, and we're going to, I'm part of a coalition of folks out of Des Moines, I know headed by John Narcisse with the Iowa Bystander and Standard, and I know Representative Akil Abdul Samad is part of this effort, as well as Brad Zahn, who is a Republican senator out of the Iowa Senate. And so
Okay.
it's a bipartisan effort to look at, it's called, as you mentioned, the Every Iowa Economic Empowerment Act. And we're going to launch this thing on Thursday right here on KBBG.
Right here,
At 6 o'clock in the evening, where it's a press conference that's going to take place. And the whole purpose of this is to simply begin the discussion on how we can empower every Iowa, how Iowans can invest back into their own communities where they live. Because when people generally think about poverty, they think about urban areas. Well, you know
Right.
what, this is Iowa, and we're in a rural state, and there's a lot of poverty there
Absolutely.
as well. And so the whole point of this Empowerment Act, where people will get to hear much more about it, is to look at how can we reward hard work and sacrifice of people. And in other words, you know, Iowans work nearly 40, they work 40 hours and are taxed, and they're doing everything they're possible. For some reason, the money's not getting back into their communities. So this is just a way to assist or provide a roadmap for Iowans to reinvest back in the communities they live in. You know, it's kind of like when I think years ago in the 70s with Mr. Porter and the community garden he used to have. And people, you know, food was there,
Sure.
people could come and help themselves. And now today you find that there are gardens where you can plant your own and raise your own food. It's much more healthier, much better for you. And this is just that kind of a thing where how do we invest back in the communities that we live in, and maybe growing that garden could eventually grow into a supermarket.
Who knows?
Who
Sure.
knows? But it's just to begin to get the discussion of how we can begin empowering our communities again. I became interested in this because when I look around our area, you know, my district alone, I know that people are hurting. People
Yes.
are wanting to, we want our community strong again. And so if we can lay out the groundwork, or rather provide the roadmap for people to begin to invest.
This is how we get started.
This is how we get started.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage everybody to come down, or I don't know how we're doing it on Thursday. I don't think it's a live broadcast, but
it's going to be open to the public.
Okay, but the public can
We will
come
have,
and-
our room is not green, but we will
Okay.
call it the green room if people want to come down and listen from that part of the building. They'll
Right.
be able to do that if they want to be here to ask
Okay,
their own
absolutely,
questions.
yeah, the media
They can
will
do
be
that
here in
person,
addition.
or they can call in
Very good, very good.
here at 319-234-1441.
Great, great.
So please mark your calendars now for Thursday
Mhm.
at 6 p.m. here at the studios of KBBG, located at 918 Newell Street. It
Mhm.
will be Representative Debra Berry, and her cohorts are,
Representative Akil Abdul Samad out of Des Moines. He represents Des Moines. And John Narcisse, who's actually the brainchild behind this act. And I'm thinking Senator Brad Zahn, and he's from Urbandale, Iowa. He may join us as well.
okay, very good. So we'll be looking forward to that. And can we talk a little bit about the necessity, how critical it is for us to use the gift given to us to vote? How important that is. We've done a lot of talking,
Yes,
but what we're gonna find out is who went to the polls.
exactly.
That's what's gonna be important.
That's the bottom line, Lou, and I just tell everybody, because I know I've been getting calls regarding the endorsement of Mitt Romney, the Des Moines Register and other Lee Enterprises newspapers supporting Mitt Romney, and I know there's a lot of concern about that. But I just say to people, well, I don't know, nobody's come to my area, my neighborhood, and pulled anybody to ask them what they thought about anything. But all I can say is that this election is very, very serious. The differences between President Obama and candidate Mitt Romney are clear. And for those people, and I've been out here working it a long time, those folks who are just not sure, I'm baffled by that. I mean, you need to be sure at this point. And I just want to encourage people to get out and go vote today. I mean, we see what's happening on the East Coast right now, which it's my understanding there could be some delays in that whole process of voting, or maybe, I'm sure you've heard that, right?
Yeah.
That maybe postponing the election for Tuesday, November 6th. But in any event, I mean, yeah, I love going to the polls too, but anything could happen. This election is that serious that you probably need to drive in your cars right now and just go on down to the courthouse and cast your vote.
And they can do that until what time?
Oh, they can do that. I think the offices close at 8. Yeah,
8,
yeah.
okay, so
But
they
it's
got-
very serious a point, and really, because I know KBBG is definitely a nonpartisan organization. But so vote. You just need to vote. You know.
From 8 until 4:30.
From 8 until 4:30. Thank you,
We were wrong
Beverly.
on that one.
Thank you,
Okay.
Bev corrected us. They're actually
Yeah.
open from 8 until 4:30.
4:30.
And that's the Blackhawk County Courthouse Elections Office.
Okay.
But what is at
There are
8
some
o'clock are the
satellite places,
satellite
too.
locations?
Yeah,
And I think
8
Jesse
o'clock.
Cosby's one, Payne
No.
Church, not anymore?
No.
Okay, even
Okay.
that's
Because
happened.
we went to Payne today,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
going
yeah.
to
Thank
do
you,
that
Bev.
also.
Satellite was the 27th, this past Saturday.
That's
so
right.
You have to go to the courthouse or Election Day. the 6th.
Okay,
Right.
thank you
Okay.
so much, Bev.
Good to
Okay,
know that.
I stand corrected.
Ooh,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
All right.
Because it's too critical, but the point is, vote.
That's the point.
You
That is
take
our point.
take people with you.
Mm-hmm.
Those folks are saying, I'll just wait. No, get up
I'll wait for
and
you,
vote.
and you come on.
Absolutely.
And we'll go.
and
We
we'll
will
go.
Yes.
Take 5 people with you.
Yeah,
And
'cause
if you
it's
need
the we
yeah.
that it's gonna take.
Right, and I know that for those who were Democrats, you can definitely call the office, the
headquarters.
headquarters downtown. In fact, stop by there and get all the information you need to down at the Democratic
Yeah,
headquarters.
and if you are a Republican, you should do the same.
You should do
because
the
it
same.
should not matter. You know, we've had very little talked about as far as race that's going on But we do know that regardless, if we don't go and vote, then we will have no voice when it's
You're
over.
right, absolutely right.
So again, we encourage you to go and vote. We want to thank all of you for being with us. Representative Debra Berry out for her 6th run, for continuing to be Representative Berry and representing District 62 now.
That's right.
Okay.
And one of the things I just like to close with, again, thanking you, Lou, for this opportunity.
Mhm.
And as
Anytime.
I'm talking to people, I just want to say to people that, you know, I'm not doing this for me. I think this is a place God has me, and I just want people to know that I got their backs.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for being with us. We're signing off.